Hi everyone, once
Hi
again.
everyone.
You can see the time is passing by in lockdown from the growth of our hairs and beards. These are tough times without a barber. But yeah, I think to a bit continue from the last time when we talked about ideation, we want to move to demands today and talk a bit about them. What's the importance? Whether you should separate demands from ideas, whether they should be handled, what is this phase used for, why is it important, and whatever comes to our mind about demands. Yeah. So I think the last time we did create a demand and we showed the idea portal is service now, right? And I think we covered that topic pretty well.
Exactly. So we just to summarize, we just talked about a little bit what the ideation phase means and how it's actually working and what one solution could do. I mean, as said, there are multiple tools outside there, and we will continue to focus or to show those solutions that we of course know best as we use them on a regular basis. So the last time we chose ServiceNow, and probably we will show something today as well, just to give you a short heads up on that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So maybe to get a bit started, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess demands are really used for, if we really look at it in a very strict way, you first have ideas where you submit a basic idea and you really go on a high level and give it to someone who can then fill it up with information, right? So that's where you arrive to a demand. So in my understanding, demand is a phase where you collect information as much as possible about that given idea.
Yes,
right? Yeah.
I would say, I think if you're taking this really seriously, the demand phase should really be used to make the whole thing really concrete and to underline it with figures in terms of the demand phase should really be used to mature something that you would like to implement to make it ready for a decision. And a decision could be, do we have enough budget? Do we have enough resources for that? Or maybe just simply on, is it strategic enough that we do it, whatever it costs? I think that's a good summary.
Does it bring us enough benefits, even though
Exactly.
it might be strategic, even though it might be important, but if there is, I don't know, two similar ideas, two similar demands, one brings more benefits and aligns to, I think, yeah, this is what I wanted to mention. This is also a phase where you prioritize, right?
Yeah.
Based on all the facts and figures that you can add to a demand.
At the end of the day, I would say that's the most important thing, to have something ready that you can decide on whether you want to execute it or not. And normally, what we see in organizations is that you could either use the idea and really put it into a project, depending on really how you plan. But if you really want to make a differentiator between, okay, we have an idea which is very, very rough, only describes, let's say, a high-level business case or whatsoever, and you want to go through that path and say, okay, before we go and make a decision on something, whether it should be implemented or not, we need to have more details. That's exactly where the demand management comes in. You have somebody normally who is taking care of, okay, what information do we need? How much will it cost? What are the resources that we might need? And then also maybe additional people giving feedback, like, okay, will it bring value? Is it a sort of risk? Can we integrate it in our current architecture? Things like that.
That's an important part as well. This is a phase where you should involve the necessary stakeholders to make a good evaluation.
Yes.
So I think that's a powerful part. ServiceNow offers it as well in the form of an evaluation questionnaire, but you can of course do it in more traditional ways and involve them in more traditional ways as well.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of demands or a lot of projects fail because the relevant stakeholders were not involved right on time. So they did not know about the project or about the details of the project, and then issues turned up when there was already budget allocated and budget spent in the project. And this could have been easily avoided if during the demand they would have been involved, asked, and they could have given their inputs.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially when you start about getting the whole picture, because the idea phase is really something where you want to make it very, very easy for most of the people to give you feedback. But the demand management should really be used to make qualitative decisions on these ideas. And that's I think the biggest differentiator. If you're not into, for example, if you're an organization that really doesn't care about budget, which nowadays is quite seldom, I would say, you might want to say, okay, that seems to be a good idea. We shoot this into a project, and then it might or might not turn out that it works or not. That's the more, let's say, agile approach, that you have something might bring you business value. You do not do a real demand evaluation, but you put it into development and then you figure out whether it works or not. But if you're concerned about especially something that takes more than maybe 2 weeks in a sprint or something like that, then probably it makes sense to put it into really a structured demand management, evaluate it, get feedback from different parties, and have a well decision made at the end.
Yeah, that's also, but even if you're not concerned about budget, even then, I think, demands are kind of, for me, I've always felt that they were kind of the base of a good project. So even though there wasn't budget concern, even though it had to be done no matter what, there didn't need to be a prioritization. So a lot of things didn't actually need to be worked out in a demand, but they still give a good guideline. It's like a proper planning for the project beforehand to go into the details that you otherwise would have to anyways, because if you do not have this information you can collect during the demand, or you should collect during the demand, it's very difficult to guide the project through in the proper way. And I have seen a few projects that went without proper work, and they turn out to be chaos because you do not know the budget you can spend. You spend a lot of time maybe arguing with your stakeholders or budget holders whether you get the extra finances for that. Maybe you get it easily, but then you have problems maybe with the resources. And if you work it out properly beforehand, you shouldn't have it, because then they approve it with the full picture on hand.
Yeah, it's expectation. It's also expectation management. Yeah?
Exactly.
To define also pretty simple things like, is it aligned to a portfolio? Is it aligned to a specific goal or a strategy or whatsoever? Even if you really want to make it simple, to gather just a few details like, okay, what is the business value? What should be the outcome? Is something that you should do at the beginning and before you approve it and put it into your pipeline. Yeah. You're right. Shall we have a look at something for a second?
I think
we could discuss this.
Yes. Yeah, I think
on the way.
These are pretty much the core elements what I think of when I think of a demand and the importance of demand.
I agree.
But and I think here comes. I think in the past it must have been quite difficult to collect all this information in a structured way.
Yeah.
Today there is a lot of different software solutions. Again, we are showing you one that we believe is one of the best ones. And I think ServiceNow really offers a good comprehensive way to collect all this information and to manage your demands and to show it or to prepare it for validation or prioritization.
Absolutely agree. What I would even mention in this regard, although ServiceNow out of the box really brings a comprehensive process. Yeah? Even if you are not into the how should I say, into the maturity level that you might see in this process already. You could already use it out of the box. So there is already something, there is guidance, and that could help you even establish your own processes. So whenever you choose a solution, have a look at what does the solution offer you and help you in terms of getting your maturity level up. And I think I do not want to go in detail and show everything here, but what I would see as important is that there are certain elements that might be of interest, like the possibility to already align it to portfolio, or things like defining business cases, link it to strategies, or define goals in the system that you can track on the long run, things like that. And also, of course, details like financials. How much will it cost you? How much will you gain from it? You can really drive this from very simple to very complex in probably any solution that you find on the market. But I think it's really essential to have two things being said. The one thing is gather most of the information up front before you go into this qualification and approval status. And with information, I exactly mean business case related data, financial data, that you have a clear plan and a clear structure, what you want to do. And then resource related, like a resource plan. What will you need in which time frame? What groups, what people, how much will they cost probably? Things like that. So these are the elements that you want to gather.
Yeah, and you wanted to show the stakeholders. This is where you can really keep track of the stakeholders that you need to involve or you want to involve, and make sure really involve them.
And this is where the beauty of an integrated system comes from. When you could do this basically in Excel as well, to be honest. It's just a bunch of fields, to be really frank. But things like stakeholder management, getting the right people on board, getting their feedback with assessments, this is something that you cannot easily do without a solution like we have here. To get this structured based on the portfolio that you link it to, you get the stakeholders assigned, you can define whose of those are approvers of a demand or should receive assessments. And if you have then these assessments, for example, you then want to, based on the assessment data, you will get a standardized evaluation of all your demands. And this is actually where you really get the advantage of a structured demand management, because you immediately see, okay, based on our assessments for risk and value, you will immediately see which of our demands that we have in the pipeline are actually scoring good and which of them are either risky. And based on this evaluation, you can then say, okay, I want to create a change, or I want to turn this into a project, for example. And this is actually how demand management should look like. So this would be a perfect basis for the decision makers to see, okay, this is a big demand, but it brings us really a lot of value. So let's go into project and turn it.
Yeah, I think it's very good. And I think what you mentioned is that I think a lot of organizations do not have maybe the maturity yet. Maybe they are just growing. Maybe the people do. Maybe the people have all the professional experience in the world, but they feel like the organization is not on the level of that it would be able to have a proper demand management process. But that, I don't think that's true. I think a system like this could immediately give you the guidelines to go through your whole process. So you just have to put a couple of meetings next to it and have the people aligned. Okay, guys, this is what we do. I am the demand manager, or I am working on this demand. I collect this information, and at the end we have a meeting where we go through the chart that you just showed. It should be a pretty simple process in the beginning, and it doesn't need to be complicated. A lot of organizations, I think, overcomplicate the process, maybe because of necessity also, but maybe because of also in bigger organizations, because of history, really like legacy processes. But I think a good software really helps you to focus on the important parts of a demand.
Yeah, I agree. And I think you could always make it more complex, but if we would give an advice on how to start and where to start, keep it as simple as possible. Gather the data that brings you the most value at the beginning, because this will also mean that the people will tend to use it because they see the benefit. If you already start with a huge and complex and overwhelming process, everybody will be already exhausted when creating the first demand, and that should not be the goal.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Yeah, I think that was those were good last words probably
Hopefully.
for today. We can the next time I think pick up a demand and we can check how it can be converted into a project once it gets approved, and once it has gone through all the phases, and then we can show a bit more about project management, or what would you think? Project management, portfolio management?
Yeah. I think both of them will be interesting. Maybe we start with the project management, and at the time afterwards, we go into a little bit more high sophisticated things like the portfolios.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I think projects are also quite a big topic. I think, we will talk about most likely agile, hybrid, or classic waterfall projects, and how they can be managed. Let's see if or at least my expertise will reach to the level that it's enjoyable, but we'll see that the next time.
Mine as well.
Yeah,
we'll see the next time. Let's figure that out.
All right.
Talk to you.
Manuel.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.